Hello, ladies and gentlemen. How are you? My name is Attorney Charles Zavala, your immigration lawyer. So today we have a video discussing about how you can get a green card or legal permanent residence for your parents if you're a United States citizen. So if you like our videos, feel free to like, subscribe, do all that stuff. We are located here in Houston, Texas, but we can help you no matter where you are in the USA or even if you are abroad. So feel free to check us out, Zavala Texas Law. We have 4.9 out of 5 stars on Google with over 160 reviews. So we're here to help you no matter with what you have, any immigration issues. Okay, so the purpose of this video is to say, how can a person who is a US citizen get a green card for their parents, right? So I don't know if you've seen our videos before, but we usually talk about green cards or immigration issues, but this video is going to be more specific to how can you get your parents to the USA. We'll do other videos about how you can get your spouse, your children, all that stuff, but this is more specifically towards parents, okay? So let's pretend I am a US citizen, right? I am allowed to do what's called a petition, or some people call it a sponsorship, to bring my parents over if they are from another country, right? And this process it's either going to be divided into two categories, either depending on where your parents are. One is if your parents are outside the country, that's where you're going to have to do with what's called consular processing, or if they are inside the country, you can do what's called adjustment of status. However, we're going to have to look at these issues to figure out which is their best path, because we don't want to make sure they do anything illegally. So let's start all the way at the beginning. First thing, you have to be a US citizen, right? So if I want to bring my parents over from another country, I have to be a US citizen, right? That is going to be step one. After we do that, the process is you have to file what's called an I-130 alien or petition for alien relative. That is step one, okay? Without that, you're not going to be able to advance. The analogy I give to a lot of people, if you've ever seen the movie Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, is when Charlie has his golden ticket and now that allows him to enter the factory. That's kind of what your I-130 petition is like. You need that approved, or else your case the doors won't even open up to you, right? So that is very important. And an I-130, essentially what it is, it's application that has to do with government. And remember, if you guys need assistance with this stuff, we handle these cases all the time, so we can help you no matter what, from start to finish. It's kind of what we do. But either way, that petition is going to be, I'm trying to remember how many pages it is, 12 pages maybe. And what you have to do is you have to establish a relationship. So I would have to prove that I am a son of one of my parents. So birth certificates, I'd have to show proof of all that stuff, right? So you file that. Right now, today is what, December 23rd, 2024. It takes about 12 months to get approved. It may go longer, it may go shorter. I tell my clients mostly you're looking at about 12 months. So once that gets approved, like I said, we need to look at, okay, well, where are your parents? For this example, let's pretend your parents are abroad. So first you would have to get that I-130 approved. Once that I-130 is approved, USCIS will automatically send that to the National Visa Center, which will then send it to the consulate, depending on where your parents live. Because on the I-130, one of the questions they ask you is, what consulate abroad will your parents be going to? So you have to fill it in when you do it. And all this stuff is important, right? Because if you do stuff incorrectly, they may send it somewhere else, which will cost more time on your case, and you may have to pay to get them to send it back. Kind of a pain in the butt, but it is doable. So if your parents are abroad, then you will have to schedule an appointment with them, with the consulate in their country. And you're gonna have to fill out what's called a DS-260. All the stuff is done online. It can be done through the Department of State is a government agency that handles the consular processing. So you'd have to go online, you have to file forms, you have to file evidence, do things along those lines. But long story short, at the end of the day, the most important thing is you have to establish that you are a U.S. citizen, you want to bring your parents don't have criminal record, they also don't have anything called an inadmissibility issue. So this is a really big important thing. If your parents have been here in the country before illegally, right, or they were here for a while and then they overstayed and went back, these are all really important issues you need to talk to a lawyer about, because if they were in the country illegally at one point and then left, you're probably looking at some inadmissibility issues, which could cause some problems, right? So back to it. Step one is we need to do the I-130. If they are abroad, we wait until the I-130 gets approved or close to it until the priority date, and then we can start to file the paperwork with the consulate, and the National Visa Center will then send the paperwork over. Once all that gets approved, then it's a lot of applications you have to file. So like I said, we can assist with you with this paperwork in any way. But once you file it all to the consulate, they're going to review it, they're going to make sure everything's okay, and then they're going to issue you out what's called your interview date, where your parents will have to go to that interview, and ultimately there's going to be a consular officer across the table from them who's going to be looking at all their files to make sure that this is all real. It's not fake. There's a lot of fraud that goes on. They want to make sure there's no criminal issues, no inadmissibility issues, nothing along those lines. Let's say everything goes well. What they'll do is they will take your parents' passport for about a week because they need to send a visa over to put it in there. Once they put that visa in there, your parents are allowed to enter the USA with that visa, and then ultimately they would then get their green card. So that's what's called consular processing. So let's a little quick recap again. Step one, we have to do the I-130, send all those applications and the evidence. After that, National Visa Center will then send it to the consulate. Once we get to the consulate, we got to send more documents. It's going to be a DS-260. We're going to have to do an affidavit of support. We'll have to upload criminal records, things along those lines. And then, long story short, depending on what consulate you are in, it may take longer than others. For example, we have some European consulates we work with where we can get appointments pretty quick, 1-2 months. We got other consulates like Mexico, which is kind of taking a while. We're looking at about a year. So it's important that you kind of have this timeline in your head. All right, so that is if your parents are abroad. Now let's go to this other option. Let's pretend your parents are here in the USA. Let's pretend they're here legally. They entered with a visa, or they're here on a work visa, they're here on a tourist visa, something along those lines. Or they entered on a visa and then overstayed. This is a very good exception. As long as you entered the country legally and then you stayed, you can still do what's called adjustment of status. So like that example we gave you about the I-130, the consular processing, different process. You could do everything while you are inside the USA. And this is great because you don't have to separate families, right? So you can do the I-130 and then apply for the green card, the work permit. You can do all that paperwork at the same time, file it at the same time. You're still gonna have to fill out all those applications, still all evidence. In fact, it's more applications when you do it inside. But the good thing about it is you don't have to leave the country during that time period, and it can help keep families together, okay? But like I said, the most important thing you have to look at is, well, where are your parents? Are they abroad or are they in the USA? And if they are in the USA, are they here currently legally, or did they enter legally and overstayed? Or if they're here illegally, they won't be able to do everything while they're inside the USA. So that's kind of the gist when it comes to applying for a green card for your parents. You know, there are going to be multiple forms you're going to have to file, and I can name them off for you if you want. So it's usually going to be the I-130, I-130A, I-485, I-765, I-864, I-131. If you do consular processing, you'll have to do the I-130, you'll have to do the DS-260. You know, there's a good amount of forms you have to do, but this is what we do. We can help you with this no matter what. No matter where you are in the USA, the phone number is right there on the screen. All appointments are with me personally via the phone, and we help a lot of families get their green cards every year. And that could be whether it's their husband or wife, their parents, their children's relative, things along those lines. But this video is more specifically related to how you can help your parents get their green card. So back to my last summary. 1, you have to be a U.S. citizen, right? If I want to bring my parents to the USA, I have to be a U.S. citizen, okay? After that, I need to file what's called an I-130, and depending on that I-130, are they inside or outside the USA? And then it's either going to be what's called consular processing at the consulate, or we could do adjustment of status here in the USA, okay? One thing I always tell people, if you're going to do this on your own, take your time. And the reason why is because when we usually mail out applications to a USCIS, I mean, we're talking about some big applications because, you know, you have to have all the forms and you have to have all the evidence. So make sure you take your time in doing this, because we do have a lot of clients who try to do this on their own, and then they come back to us and then we have to kind of fix the mess. And the reason why that's important is because if you start the process and you mail it off and you do something wrong, USCIS can deny your application and you lose your filing fee, which is money. And then 2, you lose all that time that you've been working for. So I always tell people, look, it's important to have family together. So let's make sure we do this right, and let's make sure we do this right the first time, because we don't want to be losing any time. But like I said, ladies and gentlemen, if you need help, feel free to give us a call. My name is Charles Zavala. We have been doing this for a little bit over 10 years. We got over 4.9 out of 5 stars on Google with over 160 reviews. We take pride in what we do. I'm the head lawyer here, and we're more than happy to help you with anything you need. So if there's anything, I hope you all have a great day. I hope you all have a great year 2025 and all that good stuff, and we're more than happy to help you in any way we can. Thank you, and have a beautiful day. Bye-bye.